Hi everybody, I'm Dawn. Those of you who follow me know that. For the people who don't, now they will know. I am super glad that you all voted to have this little mini doodle drawing class. And there's a reason I'm glad. There's a lot going on right now. Yeah, there's just a lot. And it can be really overwhelming being tuned in, being worried, trying to figure out where you can do the most good, what should you do, what should you not do. It's just a lot. And this type of drawing in particular is extremely valuable because it can help calm racing thoughts. It can help calm racing hearts. It can just kind of help everything fade away for just a little bit. And as much as I think we do need to be tuned in and aware of what's going on, 24/7 is not good for any of us. And this can provide us just a little bit of time to be able to step away, take a breath, and just find a little bit of peace and calm. I love this kind of drawing because you don't have to sit and do it for hours on end. You can do it in little bits and pieces, 5-10 minutes at a time. You don't have to start a drawing and finish it all in one session. We're going to do this over 4 or 5 days. So we'll start with, a little bit in this video, a little bit in the next video, and gradually build ourselves up. So thank you for voting to do this. I'm glad everybody was excited about it, and I hope that it will provide you maybe a little bit of solace. I think if it does that, we've mission accomplished. So I'm going to change my camera angle, point it down, and show you what you need to get started. Alrighty. Just so you have an idea what we're going to be doing in this, here's some examples. I've posted some of these. I haven't posted all of them, of the kinds of drawings we're going to be doing. They're doodle based. There is really no pattern, no rhyme or reason to them. And they're all going to look different. Yours are going to look different than mine. Each one that I do looks different, even though in all 4 of these, I've used basically the same elements. Most of these elements I'm going to show you because they kind of pack a visual punch, but I wanted to give you an idea. This is what we're going to do. So to start with, you need a piece of paper. Any piece of paper will work. I usually use watercolor paper just because watercolors are generally I can't even talk. Generally, my medium of choice for coloring them in. But certainly you don't have to use watercolors. You can use whatever paper you have. If you do decide you want to add colors at any point, you can use crayons, you could use markers, you could use colored pencils, anything you want to. So pick paper that's going to be appropriate for what you want to color it with. You may, however, decide when you get it done, you like it black and white. I sometimes leave them this way because I like that contrast. So don't feel like you have to color them in. We'll make that decision later. So you'll need a piece of paper and 1 or 2 pens to draw with. I really love, this is a Uniball I ballpoint pen. And this one is a Uniball Deluxe Micro pen. They're both ballpoints. I prefer a ballpoint pen to a felt tip pen, but you could certainly use a Sharpie or any other marker that you have. Whatever pen you have is fine. The biggest difference if you don't have, these types of pens is that yours is just going to look a little bit different than mine, and that's completely okay. I like these two because this one is a little thicker point, this one is a little thinner point. So I can use them both, and I usually do use them both in a drawing. This one to make the bold big lines and color in the big spaces. This one for finer lines and little tight spaces. So use whatever pen. You could even use a pencil if you wanted to. Again, it's just going to look a little bit differently than what I'm doing on screen, but that is perfectly okay. So paper, pens to draw with. Snacks are always good. Jelly beans hit the grocery store today, so I have jelly beans. A little bit of music of your choice if you like while you're drawing. That always helps. And that's it. We don't need a lot to get started. So I'm going to show you how we're going to get started. What we're going to do over probably 4 videos. So today, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, if you're watching these along in real time. If you're watching these later, we did it on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We're going to start with step 1 in the first video, this one. We get the foundation, and then we'll move on to adding some doodles in video 2, more doodles in video 3, finishing it up in video 4. I'm going to show you a handful of different kinds of doodles that tend to pack a visual punch, so you get a lot of bang for your buck out of those particular doodles, but you are welcome to use any doodles you want. And I would like you to know that you do not have to have any drawing skills to do this. It's abstract in nature. You can see all of these are different shapes. They're not patterned after anything. And we're going to build them all on a random scribble. So you don't have to have any drawing skills. I'm going to show you each of these things and how to do them. And when you put them all together, that's when you get the visual interest. There's nothing in these doodles that goes together. They're not strategically planned. Okay, so don't worry about having drawing skills. You don't need it. I'm going to show you everything you need to do, and with that, we're going to get started. Okay, so the piece we're going to do tonight is the very beginning. We're going to build the structure, and we're going to start to kind of define shapes. The way I like to do that is to take my bigger of my 2 pens. Now, again, if you only have 1 pen, it's perfectly fine. You don't have to have the exact same supplies I do. Yours will just look a little bit different, and that's completely okay. I like to start building the base for my design by just doing a random scribble, letting my pen wander across the page. Mine tend to be really circular and flowy. And that's just because that's how it comes out. If yours are angular and squared off, that's perfectly fine. So what I want you to do before you start this is just kind of take a big breath, let it out. Take another one if you feel like it. Just kind of let your body relax. And put your pen down anywhere on your paper. And just let it start wandering around. And I don't want you to do this real fast. I want you to do it slowly and deliberately. And just let it wander around your paper. When you think you're done, stop. So whatever you end up with, this is going to be the basis for the doodle drawing moving forward. I would like you to take a look and see if you've got any hanging lines like this one right here, where it's not touching anything. If you've got any hanging lines that aren't touching anything, just connect them to the closest line so that we have a closed thing here. It just ends up usually more visually appealing that way. That's really the only reason I do that. If you want to experiment and leave yours open, absolutely go ahead and do that. Okay? So the second piece of this, I'm going to zoom this in so that you can see where my lines cross each other. The second part of this we're going to do tonight, or today, whenever you happen to be watching this. It's tonight for me. It's 9 o'clock at night where I am because I just did not get myself together enough to get it done earlier. I'm going to start rounding off my corners. So everywhere a line crosses another line, I'm going to round that off. I find that when we do this, people don't always like this step. So give yourself some grace when you start doing it. If you find you don't like it, you don't have to continue. I like to do it for 2 reasons. I find it very relaxing because I'm concentrating on doing something repetitive. My mind gets to let go of all the worries. I also like it because it helps define shapes within my drawing. So by rounding off corners, what I mean is taking these sharp angles here and just drawing like a little U shape and then coloring that in and doing the same thing on the other side. So we've essentially just taken something very angular and kind of softened it a little bit. And I will go through my whole drawing and do that exact same thing. I'm just smoothing off those corners, making them less angular. Now, the reason I like this, like I said, I find it relaxing, is because I'm doing something repetitive. So as you're doing this piece, keep your attention focused here on your paper. The easiest way to do that is to narrate what you're doing or repeat, some kind of mantra or rhyme as you're doing it. That keeps your brain focused here. And if your brain is focused here, it's going to let all the other stuff go. Okay? So I would just continue around my drawing, and everywhere one line crosses or meets another and creates a hard angle, I'm just going to round that off. You can do these as big or as small as you want. I usually like to start with them kind of small, and if my drawing is fairly small, I might switch to my smaller pen. If you want to do them really big, that's fine too, but I'll show you in the next video why I start with them small. So I'm just going to continue doing this same thing. And as I do this, I'm going to keep my mind focused here by doing something as simple as saying round the corners. Round the corners, round the corners. Mind your breathing while you do this. Make sure you're breathing nice and even. And just let yourself relax into what you're doing. I don't know if you can see, let me zoom in again. Some of these, like this one, it's kind of hard to see on camera, but like this one, I've got a little bit of a spot there where my pen didn't end up right on the line. Don't worry about those, because we're going to come back with doodles that are going to cover things like that up. So if you're rounding the corners it's not real smooth, it's okay. We're probably going to draw over it anyway. This is just giving us a place to start. Okay? So I would continue and do this same thing all over my drawing. I'm not going to do all of this on video just because it takes a while. And if you don't get it finished all in one sitting, that's fine. There's no reason you can't do 5 or 10 minutes of this. Get up and do something else you need to do and come back to it later. But I will finish rounding all of my corners before I move on to the next step. So for today, this video, that's your homework. Create your base if you haven't by letting your pen wander, and then come back in and round all the corners. And in tomorrow's video, I will show you why we're doing that. Just keep in mind that while you're rounding your corners, narrate it for yourself if you need to keep your mind focused here. And like I said, just saying what you're doing can do that. Or even if you wanted to create a little rhyme like rounding the corners, rounding them off, rounding the corners, making it soft. You know, it's kind of symbolically taking the edge off too. So it's working us into that place of relaxing. Okay? So for today's video, because I'm trying to keep these short so they don't take you a ton of time, make your base, round all your corners. When we come back tomorrow, we'll start defining the shapes and we'll start putting doodles in. Okay? So I will see you all tomorrow.